As we continue to marvel at how AI is replicating human intelligence, the way we process things, even human consciousness, the big question that continues to arise is, what does it mean to be human? Will machines replace us? If they can do everything we do, and faster and more efficient, without the mistakes humans make, will we become negligible, unnecessary? Which forces us to go into the very definition of consciousness, of the psyche, of what makes us really tick. The things we do, the means, that clearly AI can replace. But what about the end? What is the ultimate purpose of the human being? Where are we going? We'll call it the transcendent dimension of humanity. Please join me in this conversation between AI and I, a conversation about identity, purpose, and the future of being human. Hi, this is Simon Jacobson, and we'll be speaking about Between AI and I, a conversation about identity, purpose, and the future of being human. This program is dedicated by Stephanie Langert in honor of my dear friend Rivka Bat Miriam. May the merit of this learning bring her strength, healing, and comfort, and may she be blessed with a complete and speedy recovery. AI, all the rage. As we continue to marvel about how AI is literally replicating human logic, human intelligence, human experience, and even human consciousness, the big question that arises is, who are we? What is a human being? Will the machines ultimately replace us? If they can do everything we do faster and flawlessly, will the human being become negligible? Will we be needed? Will we be necessary? As long as we can remember history, we know the human race has been preoccupied with trying to make their lives more efficient. Every technology, every invention, every discovery was to make life more efficient. When the wheel was discovered, so now objects, items could be moved easier from one place to the other. The wheel has turned also into the vehicles we have. Just use that as an example. Every advancement was about creating a situation where you have to do less investment and more return. So whether it was the agricultural revolution, and that was in the agricultural world, or the industrial revolution, where steam engines and carbines replaced human labor, or even animal labor, or as we went along to the information revolution, where, as Admiral Hyman Rickover pointed out in a famous talk that he delivered in 1957, that in 1857, 90% of energy generated in the world was generated either through humans or through animals. In 1957, 90% of energy was generated by fossil fuels and machines. And this is only accelerated with the computer revolution and everything that comes with that. So this is all about efficiency. That what took an hour to yield, let's say, a bushel of wheat or potatoes, now you can do in a minute. And this is only, as I said, accelerated. I remember the typewriter. Using a typewriter, so you typed the words, so that was faster than writing. But afterwards, it had to be edited and then retyped. Yes, we had whiteout. We're able to paste, cut and paste, not the conventional cut and paste of today, physically cut and paste. When the word processor came about, and I remember that early 80s, we went from a typewriter to a word processor. Now you can take the same document and you don't have to retype it. You can go ahead and manipulate paragraphs, move them easily, correct things all in one document. Save tremendous amount of time. And the list goes on. Think of communications. There was a time where the only way to communicate was through sending something in the post. So there was a time that happened through camels and donkeys or ships. It took a long period of time and it wasn't even guaranteed. As the technologies developed, you were able to get something to a more distant place quicker and more efficiently and more accurately. With the advent of the telephone and later radio and television, and then air travel, we were able to send mail very quickly from one place to the other. Then, of course, as things developed further, remember the fax machine revolution. Up till that point, you could not get a document to someone unless you mailed it to them or shipped it to them. Now you can do it by a phone line. And then, of course, came the World Wide Web, the internet, where you don't even need anything. All you do is send a document electronically, and it can be printed out. All this testifies to the growing and accelerating efficiency. Less investment, less time, less energy, with a greater yield. Now, AI promises to take that to a completely different level. Some say greater than the Industrial Revolution. And we're seeing it already in its infancy. We're already seeing its impact. But here's the big but. All of this is about efficiency in functionality, in surviving, in living, sustaining ourselves. None of it, if you noticed, I didn't address at all purpose of life, meaning in life, transcendence in life, love. What is technology? What do all these technologies do, let's say, for love, for relationships? Can you see it solving a problem between a husband and a wife, or between parents and children, or between siblings? An argument? As they would say, and they continue to say probably, junk in, junk out. Technology accelerates everything, but it depends what you put in. If it's an unhealthy relationship, technology will just speed that up. So you see, all these technologies really focus on the means to an end. No, I don't have to go now shopping because I can press a button and order it on Amazon and get it delivered to my home in 30 minutes. But that's not the purpose of life. Let's say you get it quicker. Now what? How does it affect the humanity of our lives? Now, of course, I for one can tell you, technology has transformed the way we do work. And we offer people meaning and meaningful life skills that help people in their mental health and their emotional well-being and their psychological issues. And we can do that now through quick and immediate distribution and reach literally millions of people. Where once upon a time that was not possible. With AI, that has only accelerated the process. We now have AI. You go to meaningfullife.com, and we've implemented an AI dimension to it. SimonJacobson.ai leads you to the same place, where you can access all our inventory, all our content, just with generating a question, user-generated experience. But that's because our content from the outset has meaning. It's not the technology itself. The technology is just a dumb distributor, if I can put it that way. AI adds a level of intelligence to it. I mean, on a more primitive level, earlier searches, macros, there was an intelligence, but this is like a whole other level. But it all comes down to, again, what's your input. If you love someone and you want to reach out to them and they're very far away physically, with technology you can reach them quickly. You can make a video call, a Zoom. If you don't love them, the Zoom is not going to help you. So here's the first thing we need to keep in mind. That all the technologies are not going to resolve the human question of finding happiness and wholesomeness and fulfillment and realizing the purpose of and the purpose and mission of your life. If you have that, the technology can help you. So if you really think about it, all these revolutions that we're seeing are all about the means, all about the functionality, all about the work we do. Yes, you may not need secretaries. You may not need someone to write a thank you letter for you. You won't need a programmer. You won't need a designer. But all that doesn't tell you, what are you designing for? What are you writing for? What are you programming for? In a way, it comes down to money, which of course is a driving engine. I remember the Wall Street Journal had an advertising campaign years ago. Money talks, we translate. And you look at the Wall Street Journal, they see everything through the lens of wealth and money. Because it reflects the activity most people are involved in most of the day, which is trying to make money. Because when you have money, you can buy things. When you buy things, you seemingly can buy that which makes you happy. But it still does not address your purpose. That's why it doesn't guarantee happiness. Can it distract you? Can it numb you? Can it give you something to be so preoccupied? You can go anywhere, travel anywhere because you have money, buy anything. Yeah, that definitely distracts us. However, it doesn't address, again, purpose. And I'm going to use the word transcendence. So what I'm leading to is saying this, that AI, like all technology, but especially AI, in a more accelerated, qualitative fashion, can definitely improve our lives. But what's going to force us now, it's going to force us to be challenged with the question, who are you? When you are busy 9 hours a day or more, toiling in a field, just to come home with as I said, a bushel of wheat or potatoes or rice to have dinner for your family. And then maybe you had some extra so you could trade it with others for something they had that you didn't have. We didn't have time to think so much about purpose, even though we should have. And many people did. I come from a tradition where they always thought about purpose. Money was never the end in mind. Materialism was not that. It was spiritual growth. It was transcendent experience. Experiencing reality greater than you are. And the rest was a means. Yes, you need the money, you need the body, you need the physical world, you need the material to be able to survive and exist in this world. But that was all in the existential area. It wasn't on the higher purpose level. But now, as we get freed from all that labor, we're left with much more time and much more headspace to think about, why am I here? And that's where the future of humanity is going. For some people may resist because you're so used to the old model, you're just going to try to hold on to it. But those that are wise, there's an expression, Ezu Chachem Harayas Haneled. Who is the wise person? The one that sees the birthing, sees the future. Not in a prophetic way, sees the consequences, the implications of behavior. Someone that thinks about that looks ahead and says, that's going to be the big void. And AI may even replicate that, but it's going to ultimately be driven by us. Does AI have a soul? Talking about AI and the I. Well, it has a soul because it's created by someone with a soul, and it can replicate that as well. But the ultimate soulfulness that we have, that which the Bible calls being created in the divine image. And you can actually say that our minds, the human mind, is also a form of AI. God downloaded his consciousness and his intelligence into us. But the difference is we have free will. And we have the ability to alter and control our destinies. Not what will happen to us, but how we will navigate. The more we become in touch with that spiritual, we'll call it, transcendent self, the more the AI will support that. If we see ourselves as material human beings and you just want to have a more efficient life, AI will replicate that and actually could replace us. So bottom line, as I've said a number of times, if you see yourself as a machine, AI will be a better machine. More efficient, less mistakes, quicker, and so on. They say that AI can learn something in 8 minutes that takes a human being 80 years to be trained in. Whether those are the exact numbers or not, but you see this, you see the sheer scope of that shift. But the more soulful we become, the more we dedicate our lives and seek, what is the purpose of my life? And you use AI to help you with that. That's the ultimate future. I foresee that the commodity of the future will be, after the agricultural, industrial, and information revolution, will be the spiritual revolution. And the commodity will be meaning in life, purpose in life. And we will have more time to focus on that. And we'll have machines that can take care of the other menial or mundane activities, even though they're not all mundane, as the joke goes around. I thought AI would wash the dishes and clean the house so I could write poetry. I discovered that AI is writing poetry and I'm cleaning the house and washing the dishes. But that again goes back to what we see as a primary force in our lives. So it really comes down to a very basic and fundamental question. Who are you? Are you a material being with once in a while some type of spiritual experience? Or as they say, you're a spiritual being on a physical journey instead of a physical being on a spiritual journey. When we see ourselves as such, then our life is driven by something that's beyond the tangible. And that too can be trained into the AI world. But we need to access that part of ourselves. When I look at our schools, what we're teaching our children, it's mostly about being efficient business people, making money. Yes, it has obviously a noble side to it, becoming a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant. You are helping the human race. But the focus is to do so efficiently. I remember hearing once a TED Talk. It was a British child psychologist. And he explained why schools are called elementary schools. Because the modern Western model of education was shaped by Napoleon and Frederick the Great. They were looking to create military men who efficiently would fight the wars for them. So elementary was a war term, efficiency. And they essentially cut out or made it into an extracurricular activity, things like the creative arts, music, art. When in fact, a child actually is far more naturally an imaginative being, someone that dreams, that imagines, that fantasizes. So we've been turned into these efficient clerks to do things efficiently. The physical sciences, mathematics, science, medicine, physics, even political science. But the art of being human, the art of what makes us unique, the ability not just to be efficient machines, but to be dreamers, to look up and be curious about a world beyond us. and aspire. What's out there? What is my deeper purpose? Why am I here? What mark will I make in the universe? And not just financially and materially. That was essentially cut out. And it became, yes, extracurricular activity, arts, music, and so on. I thought it was a tremendous insight that tells us how we look at ourselves and how we train our children. So of course, in a world like that, AI will just be an even more efficient machine. It's like having a better and faster vehicle, automobile. It's not thinking out of the box of a new paradigm. But when you look in the words of Isaiah the prophet, he says a world where there will be no more evil and destruction, a world filled with divine knowledge, because the world will be filled with divine knowledge as the waters cover the sea. Or Maimonides quotes it and says that the business of the world will be nothing but to know God, to know the divine, spiritual transcendence. Materialism will be a means to an end, and it'll be seen as such. Whereas today, it can be seen as an end in itself. So then AI takes on a whole other shape. AI helps your soul live up to its purpose. And we train the AI to think that way. So you don't have to worry, will machines, will AI turn on us? The classic Matrix film series. Will the machines become so smart that feel we're a threat to them and they'll turn on us? So you can put in guardrails and censorship and all kinds of things. Or you can train AI in the spirit of who we are, a soul, and the AI is here to help support that soul. If it's machines pitted against machines, of course there'll be wars. Who's going to win? Survival of the fittest, that model. But there's another model for life, that we're not driven by survival of the fittest, or Richard Dawkins' terms, the selfish gene. We're driven by transcendence, to be givers more than takers, to fulfill our calling, to transform your corner of the world into a spiritual, beautiful, loving environment. And then all the machines are serving that purpose. To put it in very simple terms, you're walking down in the woods, it's a hot day, you see an apple, a juicy apple on a tree, and you're really drawn to it. You have three options: to ignore it, to just tear it off the tree, indulge, and satisfy your instant gratification. Or you say to yourself, why was this apple created? And why did I encounter it? In order to take it off the tree, make a blessing on it, and sensitively eat it, with the intention that the strength I gain from it becomes part of my flesh and blood, my energy, and when I do a favor for another, and I'm kind, the apple now is participating because it's feeding, it's fueling my life of purpose. The first option, you're just basically ignoring. Second option, it's all about me, me, me. I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm being refreshed. The third is the way we're supposed to look at the world. That the whole world, including technology, including everything in existence, is meant to be there to enhance our purpose. I think about it every time we send out an email, every time we use social media, every time we record a video. I say to myself, that's what the world was created for, to use these platforms and these technologies to share a kind word, an inspiring word. So it's so gratifying when we get a letter, and we get them all the time. Just today I was reading a few of how your message has transformed my life. And I think to myself, it's not just the message, it's the way we got the message to the person. They wouldn't have received it were it not for the technologies. So what we're faced with is a real existential question. Who are we? Once you answer that question, then whatever tools come to your tool chest, you'll use them to fulfill who you are. As I often point out, someone asks you, who are you? And you give them your business card. And you say, 1 second, your business card, that's what you do, it's not who you are. They say, well, I've been doing it so long, I have become what I do. you're a carpenter, you become, your identity is a carpenter. It should be the other way around. The ship shouldn't be telling the captain where to go. The captain tells the ship where to go. Which means first define who you are. Then let that in turn define and shape what you do. But we live in a world of survival. And we have to pay our bills. So we're thrust into a world, sometimes into work that we don't really want to do, or we learn to like it. Statistics show most people don't like their jobs, or some learn to like it, and very few really, it's a labor of love. But it comes back to your purpose, asking, what is my mission in this world? No company can exist without a mission statement. Can you? So ask yourself, what is your mission? Then say, okay, what tools do I need to fulfill that mission? And the tools that come my way, and the new technologies, and AI and so on, are all there to help enhance my realization and fulfillment and actualization of my calling, of singing your unique song, of making your unique mark, of playing your exclusive music that you and only you can sing. Then AI and all other means, all other material developments become tools for our transcendent growth. And you train the AI to think that way. I think that is going to be the real crossroads. Can we shift over from survival mode, from thinking in terms of immediate comforts, instant gratification, to purpose-driven life, to a mission-centric life instead of an egocentric life? And then AI takes on a whole other shape and form. I hope people who are developing AI, especially on that deeper ideological level, would hear this message, because it's critical for the future of each one of us and for the entire human race and for the world. But it will be a world, as Isaiah predicted, filled with divine knowledge as the waters cover the sea. And AI will be a big part, as technology in general is a big part of disseminating that, of making that happen. Scaling it, distributing it in a seamless fashion. And I'm really excited about the future in that context. But human beings are human beings. Will there be bad actors and bad players? You always have that. But the ones that are focusing on the bigger picture, they focus and they keep that on the front burner, we will prevail. And it will affect the entire world, because all of us will be happier. Because at the end of the day, the selfish gene, survival of the fittest, maybe for the moment feels better. But long term, it's always the greater good, the higher purpose, the higher reality. And that in turn will expand our consciousness and help it reach places unprecedented, new horizons. And that's what's so exciting. The great potential of the human soul, the great potential of the divine potential within all of existence. Whether it's an apple or it's a subatomic particle, every fiber of existence has tremendous potent energy waiting to be unleashed and released. And it begins with each one of us. Thank you so much. This has been Simon Jacobson, meaningfullife.com. As I said, now we have an AI dimension to it where you can generate your own journey. We're testing and experimenting it. Check it out. Just go to meaningfullife.com, or you can go to simonjacobson.ai. It all now converges. If this message was important to you, please share with others. Love to hear your thoughts, your feedback, your comments. And please subscribe. Subscribe to our offerings. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be blessed and be well.
This program is brought to you by the Meaningful Life Center. Please help us continue our programs. Make even a small contribution at meaningfullife.com/donate. This program is brought to you by the Meaningful Life Center. Please help us continue our programs. Make even a small contribution at meaningfullife.com/donate.